Welcome back, friends. In this video I am going to introduce you to the components in React. So there are two types of components in React. The one is functional component and the other one is the class components. So we will see practically how we can write a functional component as well as a class component, and we will also see the differences between the two. So before I explain you class components, I would like to introduce you with the functional components. So in this video we will be basically working with the functional components. So to begin with the functional components, what we have to do is we have to run the application that we previously created. So I am going inside this React folder and then hello world, and type cmd here, and then we type the command npm start. And I already told you that you need to install npm and create React app on your system to run the React application. So once I run this command npm start, it will automatically run my application in Chrome browser because it is the default browser on my system, and it runs on the port 3000 by default. We can also configure this port or change this port by using the set port command, but currently we don't need it. So our application is running here. So as we know that previously we were learning about JSX. I told you about the JSX syntaxes and all that, how you can use JSX. In this video we will also be going like using the JSX in the whole series. So you will come to know the different ways we can use the JSX, and I will also be informing you about the same. So in this video we are going to learn about the functional components or components that use functions. So as you can see, we are inside the main component that is app.js, inside src and app.js, and we have this component function app, and this is a component, and functional components need to return some JSX, then only it works as a component. Now what I have to do is, if you are not returning a some JSX, then it is not a component, it is a simply function. And remember one thing, you need to give the name of a functional component or class component, whatever it is, you need to name a component with a capital letter, because React considers capital letter capitalized, or you can say first letter is capital, and those names as components, and if it is small then it considers it as HTML tags. So you need to aware of this. Now what you have to do is, we already have a app component and we are returning some JSX here, so we are removing this from here, and we have this JSX is simply the HTML like syntax that we can write inside the JavaScript. So whatever I want to write, let's say I want to give a or header tag, let's say header 2, and I write here this is JSX. So we can see the component automatically refreshes. You can see that it is changed to JSX. So whatever changes I make, and when I save the file, the component automatically re-renders. So this is the one thing. And now we move to the functional component. So you might be confused at like how I can create a new functional component. So I am going to explain you that. And what a component is, you can say a component is a separate unit or a unit of the code, or you can say a separate page or separate any type of element, UI element that you want to create. You can create that separately inside a component, and you can use that component multiple times you want to use. So we will be creating a button component here, and we will try to use that component. So inside this src folder, I am creating a folder named components. You can create any folder you want, but as the name suggests, it should be components. And inside the components, sorry, the spelling is wrong. So components, yeah, now it's correct. And inside this component in folder, we are creating a file button.js. Guys, you need to aware of the fact that all the component files should be named with .js syntax. You can use this .js syntax is needed, sorry, .js extension for the any component file. Inside this file I need to import react from react, because this is what helps react to understand that it is a react component. And then you can create a function export, or you can simply write const button. Simply remove this const, it is not needed here. Button is equal to a function, or you can write arrow function, whatever you want. Here it is a simple function, but if you want to write an arrow function, that also works. So for simplicity I am considering this function, not considering the arrow functions. So we can write a function named button and this, and now we need to return something as gsx. So let's say we are returning a div tag. For currently we are returning a button tag, button click. So this is a button that we have created and we save it. So when we will come here, we can see that there are no changes because this component is not yet linked with our code. If we want to link this component to our code, what we have to do is we need to import this component in this file. So this is the main app file. So what we can do is import button. We need to give the name, and for that also we need to export this component. So we can write export default. We are giving a default export to this component button. And now save this file, and now we have to import this component in this app.js file, because this is the root file. Import button from, and we need to give the path of that file button.js. So we go inside components and then button, button.js. So once the component is imported in our root file, what we can do is we can use this component like a tag that we use in HTML. So we simply give a tag named button and save the file, and let's see the browser. So you can see our component is inserted in the DOM or on our web page. So we have the button here. So this is how you can create a functional component. So one way is this, using this function. Another way you can create a component is, let's say you want to use the function instead of using the arrow function, or I can also explain in this case. So here we are writing a JSX simple JSX function, but ES6 also provides us arrow function. So what we can do is we can remove this and we can write button equal to an arrow function. And if the component is very short, and then we can use this arrow function syntax, and we can remove this return also. If we keep this return like this, it works fine, and it need to be const button. Once we save, and you can see if I refresh it is still there. So and this is also the same concept. And if like say we are returning only one simple tag, so what we can do is we can also remove these curly braces, as I already told you when I was explaining about the arrow functions. So what you can do is you can simply write this button, remove all this return and whatever we are writing, and we can simply write like this. So you can see how much we have reduced our code. From 4 to 5 lines we have reduced the code to only a 1 line. So this is the main use of the arrow functions. We can write simpler and less code, less lines of codes. So this is how we can reduce the code, and this also works the same. Once I save it and refresh it, so you can see the same click button component is still there. And this is all for this video. And guys, if you have any doubts, then you can comment below. And thank you for watching the videos, and see you guys in the next video.